Oh, wow.
Linda, Nuzul, and Eka. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yes, everybody's coming in.
Hanifah Kurnia.
Okay, so everybody's in at the moment. Everybody, hello, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, where you are. Thank you so much for joining the Alumni Talk webinar from LIA, joined between STB Alia and Lembaga Bahasa LIA. Thank you so much for being here today, putting in your time. My name is Novicto. I will be helping to host this event. And I think there's a photo beside me, which is Miss Susanna. Please say hi. Ms. Yuska there will be the moderator for today. And we also have a big panelist of speakers here also. I think if you see the photos beside me, I have here Mr. Darren Mario Balia. Please say hi. And then hi. And then we have Miss Sanary. Hi there, Miss Sanary. And then we have Mr. Kia, right? We have Mr. Zaki. Sorry, Mr. Zaki. Hi, Mr. Zaki. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Victor.
Okay, so I'm just going to play some more videos. I'm just going to play some video for you all while we wait for some more people to come in, because there's a lot of people joining us so that we can start all together. I'm just going to share my video here so that you can watch it, and then we will join you in a moment.
Lembaga Bahasa LIA, or LB LIA, is Yayasan LIA's main business unit, the biggest growing language institution in Indonesia. Starting with only 40 students, LB LIA now serves 60,000 students per quarter on average, at more than 60 branches spread throughout Indonesia. Our learning features include fun learning, where we make sure that our students study in a relaxed and fun atmosphere. Learning how to learn, where we help our students to become independent learners, and learning more than just English, where we broaden the students' horizons through integrated learning. Our general English course aims at developing the participants' 4 language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Designed for different age groups, each program provides learners with practical communication skills in a variety of everyday situations that will give them a solid base of English to progress from. Designed to meet the specific needs of the learners, our English for Specific Purposes, or ESP programs, cover a wide range of disciplines, from English for academic purposes to English for occupational purposes. Our Business Conversation program helps you get familiar with business-related vocabulary and expressions that will enable you to speak confidently in various business situations. And our Test Preparation programs cover a broad range of test-taking strategies that will help you deal with high-stake tests like the TOEFL, TOEIC, or IELTS with ease.
LIA EPT, BET, and ACE tests are designed to measure the English language proficiency of people who want to study or work abroad or in environments where English is used as a medium of communication.
In addition to English training programs and proficiency tests, Lembaga Bahasa LIA also offers translating, interpreting, editing, and transcribing services, provided by a powerful team of experienced and authorized translators, interpreters, and proofreaders with a solid professional background.
Aside from English, Lembaga Bahasa LIA also has Mandarin, Korean, and Bahasa Indonesia for Foreigners programs that cover real-life topics and everyday language, and are taught in a communicative approach that will help students learn more effectively and use the language confidently.
Our teaching methodology includes project-based learning and CLIL, or Content and Language Integrated Learning, to enhance the 21st century learning skills that every student needs to master to be able to succeed in their education and future career. To foster our teachers' teaching quality, we execute professional teacher development programs through a nurturing and supporting mentoring process and a comprehensive evaluation system. We also provide regular trainings, workshops, seminars, and conferences to ensure that our teachers stay abreast of the latest development in English language teaching and learning. Prepare yourself for a better future. Enroll now at Lembaga Bahasa Lia.
Genggamlah dunia dengan bahasa. Kaum muda yang tak ingin tergilas roda zaman, tak semestinya tenggelam dalam bahasa ibu semata.
Hi Nisa! Hi! How are you? I'm fine. Oh my God! What's Maya? It's Miss Maya. Miss Maya too. Yes.
Menguasai bahasa asing menjadi hal yang tak lagi bisa ditawar ketika sekat antar benua terlepas seperti sekarang. Di era global, sudah seharusnya seseorang memiliki kemampuan berbahasa asing agar mampu mengakses dunia. Ada banyak cara untuk menguasai bahasa asing, misalnya belajar sendiri atau total memperdalam ilmu di lembaga pendidikan bahasa asing. Untuk mereka yang tak ingin setengah-setengah menyelami ilmu bahasa asing inilah, Sekolah Tinggi Bahasa Asing LIA hadir. Di bawah naungan Yayasan LIA yang berpengalaman lebih dari setengah abad di dunia pendidikan bahasa Inggris, STBA LIA menjelma menjadi wadah sempurna untuk mereka yang hendak piawai berbahasa Inggris dan Jepang.
STBA LIA ini adalah institusi yang berbasis bahasa. Otomatis kemampuan bahasa itu yang diolah. Nah, STBA LIA berfungsi untuk menjembatani kebutuhan bahasa itu dengan mendirikan program studi bahasa Inggris. Oleh sebab itu, biasanya orang tua menyekolahkan anaknya ke sini, sering juga sekali bertanya, kira-kira nanti anak saya setelah lulus bekerja apa, begitu.
Saat ini ada 2 program studi bahasa di STBA LIA. Bahasa Inggris dan Jepang. Masing-masing terdiri untuk tingkatan diploma 3 dan strata 1.
Nah, dibandingkan dengan sekolah lain, kami itu pertama akreditasinya bagus untuk program studi Inggris. Kemudian setelah keluar biasanya kemampuan bahasa Inggrisnya itu harus melebihi 550. Lalu di dalam pengajaran program studi bahasa Inggris maupun bahasa Jepang di Sekolah Tinggi Bahasa Asing LIA ini yang berbeda mungkin di tempat sekolah lain adalah setiap harinya siswanya bukan saja berinteraksi dengan hanya di dalam mahasiswa sendiri, tetapi mahasiswa juga memiliki kesempatan untuk berinteraksi dengan mahasiswa asing lainnya yang belajar selama 1 tahun di STBA LIA.
Prodi Bahasa Inggris di Sekolah Tinggi Bahasa Asing LIA Jakarta memberikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan bahasa Inggris bukan hanya pada tataran struktur atau gramatika bahasa saja, tapi juga kami memberikan pengetahuan dan keterampilan di bidang sosial dan latar belakang sosial dan latar belakang budaya dari bahasa itu, karena tidak mungkin memahami suatu bahasa tanpa memahami latar sosial dan kebudayaannya. Dengan begitu kami mengharapkan bahwa dengan pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang kami berikan, kami bisa memberikan bekal bagi lulusan kami untuk berkiprah di bidang-bidang yang mereka tekuni saat mereka telah lulus, seperti di bidang penerjemahan, kemudian pengajaran, jurnalistik, dan lain-lain.
Program studi S1 Sastra Jepang STBA LIA itu program studi yang menghasilkan lulusan yang kompeten di bidang bahasa, khususnya terjemahan, lalu sastra dan budaya Jepang. Terus di prodi kami juga memiliki tenaga pengajar yang berkualitas gitu. Jadi diharapkan mampu menghasilkan lulusan yang siap kerja gitu.
Untuk menghasilkan lulusan siap kerja, ada banyak fasilitas yang disediakan STBA LIA. Di antaranya, kelas yang nyaman berpendingin udara, perpustakaan, laboratorium bahasa, laboratorium komputer multimedia, dan tempat beribadah. Tak tertinggal, areal untuk beraktivitas juga tersedia, baik di bidang olahraga maupun kesenian.
Nah, awal aku masuk STB Alia tuh aku juga dengar kan dari orang-orang kayak itu sekolahnya bagus, ada sastra Inggris juga, ada sastra Jepang. Nah, makanya aku masuk sini. Udah gitu, di sini juga ada apa ya? Ada ekskul-ekskul juga kan yang bagus, kayak ada dance juga, ada taekwondo tuh yang baru, sama ada futsal. Terus apa ya, kalau kita sekolah di sini tuh apa ya, kayak dosen-dosennya tuh baik-baik. Ya tugasnya lumayan lah, susah sih susah, tapi bisa lah. Terus staff-staffnya juga sering senyum juga, ramah. Pokoknya aku sekolah di sini senang banget.
Saya bangga karena berkat pembelajaran di STB Alia, saya dapat mewakili anak muda Indonesia dalam acara World Humanitarian Summit di Turki. Acara tersebut diinisiasi oleh PBB.
Keuntungan belajar di STB Alia lainnya adalah mereka dapat berinteraksi langsung dengan mahasiswa dari negara lain yang tengah mengikuti program bahasa Indonesia untuk penutur asing.
Saya dan teman-teman saya sangat menyenangkan karena bisa belajar budaya Indonesia di STB Alia dan pengajar guru-gurunya sangat ramah dan selalu siap-siap sebelum kelas, maksudnya materinya. Jadi kami bisa belajar dengan serius. Terus kami sering bertanya tentang budaya atau negara Indonesia, guru-gurunya, pengajarnya menjelaskan dengan lebih jelas, jadi bisa kami belajar lebih banyak.
Mendapatkan lebih banyak dari yang dipelajari memang menjadi keunggulan STB Alia. Kelebihan lainnya, akses menuju STB Alia tidaklah sulit. Terletak di pusat kota Jakarta, STB Alia dapat dijangkau mudah dengan beragam akses transportasi seperti kereta rel listrik komuter lain ataupun bus Transjakarta. Nah, jangan membuang waktu untuk menggenggam dunia. Kuasailah bahasa dengan menuntut ilmu di STB Alia.
All right, so again, I'd like to welcome everybody that's in this webinar. I'd like to welcome also our moderator and also our guest speakers for today. My name is Victor, and I'd like to the Alumni Talk 2020 today by introducing to you the moderator for today, which is Miss Susanna Saladiakova. I hope I didn't mispronounce that. Hi, Miss Suska. Okay, let me also read out a little bit about Ms. Suska. Ms. Suska is currently the management advisor and English trainer at Albelia, and she has 8 years experience in English teaching, recruitment, and employee development. She has studied master's degree in finance and accounting in Slovakia, the Czech Republic, and also the Netherlands. She has 6 years of experience in an international student organization called IESEC. I hope I didn't mispronounce that either. She has gained a lot of leadership skills also in her last role, which was the director of internship program on a national level, setting the strategic direction for 7 branches across Slovakia. and she's also gained a lot of professional training experience through becoming a trainer and facilitator to more than 20 conferences in Slovakia and abroad. Okay, that is a little bit about Miss Susanna, Miss Suska, and I'd also like to say hi to our panelists for today. We have here Mr. Garen Mario Balia. Hi, Mr. Garen. Oh, okay. I need to unmute you. I'm so sorry. This is a bad habit of mine. Okay. Hi, Mr. Garen.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So I would love to introduce Mr. Garen, but I think Mrs. Scott is going to do that in a moment. We also have Miss Sanary. Hi, Miss Sanary.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. And we also have Mr. Zaki. Hi, Mrs. Zaki.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Greeting from Melbourne.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Mrs. Zaki is coming in from Melbourne. And also, last but not least, we have Mr. Gilang Fauzi. Hi, Mr. Gilang.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, greetings from Yogyakarta, although my background is Sydney.
Okay. So, wow, from Yogyakarta. So, we have panelists coming from Yogyakarta, from Melbourne, and also from Jakarta. Okay. So, without further ado, I'd like to give the platform to Ms. Duska. Ms. Duska, you may start. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Navito. Don't worry, you did not misspell anything. So good job on that. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to have you all here for our webinar today. Before I'm going to introduce a little bit our speakers, I'm going to talk a little bit about importance of studying languages to you. So I could give you some generic information and statistics, but I thought it would be better to just share my personal experience with studying languages. So that's what I'm gonna do. My nickname is Zuzka, and I originally come from Slovakia, which is a country in Central Europe. And in Slovakia, English is not an official language or a second language. We study English same as everybody here as a foreign language. So I started my English studies in primary school. In the 4th grade, it was still at that time an extracurricular activity. So we didn't have English studies yet at that point in primary school. But even though it was still an extracurricular activity, I really, really enjoyed it already since that point. Later, throughout high school, I had to take on another language because I went to a grammar school. So throughout my high school and my university studies, I tried studying 3 other foreign languages. The first one was German. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I studied German for 7 years, even though I do not have the ability to speak now, because I couldn't really connect to the language when I studied it. And at that time, I really felt like it was just something I had to do because my teacher said, you have to study it, so I studied it. In university, I took 1 semester of French, but after 1 semester, I didn't have the motivation to continue my studies. And also during university, I took 1 year of Russian. I really liked Russian. I would continue my Russian studies if I could at that time, but unfortunately, I was moving for my studies abroad, so I did not continue afterwards. So basically, the only language that stuck with me throughout all these years was English. Since I liked the language so much, already in high school, I tried very hard to take on any kind of activities I could do. So I did competitions, I joined extracurricular activities, from France and Germany and Iceland when they came to visit our high school. And then in the university, just making that decision that I really wanted to focus on studying English gave me a pool of opportunities. If I did not focus on studying English, I wouldn't get 2 summer jobs abroad, 2 internships. My second internship was actually teaching English. That was when I came to Indonesia. I even got the opportunity to be part of the international organization ISEC for 6 years. and traveled with the organization as well. And in university, I was recognized for my strength in grammar. So my professor asked me to translate a book of mathematics. But thanks to really studying English so hard, I got all these kind of opportunities, also work opportunities afterwards. So I'm actually going to ask you two questions for which later, if you come the closest with your answer, later we are going to give you something. So you can just type your guesses into the chat. Do you know how many countries in the world use English as their official or secondary official language? You can type your guesses into the chat window, and later at the end of the webinar, we are going to pick the person with the closest answer. So how many countries in the world use English as official or secondary official language? So both, yeah, both official and secondary official. Okay, this is my first question. Okay, English is probably the most accessible language out there because of its big presence in movies and TV and on the internet. So whether you realize it or not, you probably come across English all the time in your life, or you can, even if you don't, you have the opportunity to come across it almost every day. Now, my second question is, there are 1.5 billion English speakers in the world. How many of those people are non-native English speakers? So out of 1.5 billion people, how many do you think are non-native English speakers? Okay, I'm gonna give you the chance to write it down in the chat box. Now, throughout my studies and my career, I had the opportunity to learn two different languages in two different ways. So when I learned English, I learned it mostly from books. I studied the rules. I was very good in grammar. And I thought myself when I was leaving high school that I was pretty fluent in English. And then after the first year of my university studies, I went for an internship abroad, for a summer job abroad. And that was a real test of my skills, where I realized I wasn't as good in English as I thought I was at first. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but yeah, I adjusted after a while of spending summer in Cyprus. I adjusted, so I managed. The second, I had the great opportunity of studying another language that I have not mentioned yet, which is Bahasa Indonesia. But that one I studied very differently from English. So when I studied Bahasa, I studied it not from the books, at least not at first, but from the streets. I could observe people's emotions. I could understand the cultural context of studying the language. So up until now, maybe I'm not on a level where I can write the research paper or an article or an email, but I can use it for day-to-day communication with people. So for me, the combination of knowing English and Bahasa Indonesia perfectly complement each other. Because if I didn't know English, I would not be able to work abroad or have the opportunities that I had a chance to have. And if I didn't know Bahasa, I would probably feel less comfortable working in Indonesia and in the environment where I work. So both these languages made it possible for me to do the job that I am doing right now. Now, 43% of world population are bilingual. That means almost half of the people in the world can speak two languages or more, which is amazing, right? I mean, here in Indonesia, what I know is that some of you guys probably as well are already bilingual because your mother tongue is not the same as official Indonesian language, right? So you already are bilingual, which is the perfect stepping stone for you to learn another language on top of that. And that, what you heard from me and what you will hear also from the other speakers, is something that will open lots and lots of opportunities for you in the future. So the one thing that I regret from my high school and university studies is that I didn't follow through with my language studies. Like German, I could probably speak more than 2 foreign languages by now if I really stick to at least one of those other 3 languages. So I just want to leave you with a very simple message, and that is, when you study a language, be persistent. You can choose your own way of studying language, but you need to be persistent, and you need to find your own motivation. And well, I think now it's time to hear about the language journey of our speakers. So let's see what they would like to share with you about their language journey. So we're going to start with Zaki. Hello, Zaki. So Zaki will be the first person to share a little bit from his language journey. Zaki is an Indonesian teacher who embarked on his teaching career in Australia since 2014. His passion for language teaching began when he created his own digital series on YouTube called Learn Real Bahasa Indonesia. Since then, he has had the opportunity to teach in community school in New South Wales, develop his own online language program, and he teaches students from the Indonesian Studies program at Monash University. To extend his interest in education, Zaki has completed a master's degree in digital learning through Monash University in 2018, and has recently completed his second master's degree in teaching secondary education through Victoria University. He is currently working as an Indonesian teacher for Balai Bahasa in Perth and AIAV, as well as an Indonesian language assistant at Marcelin College. So now I leave the floor to you, Zaki.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Jessica, for giving me the opportunity. And first and foremost, I have to also greet my mentor teacher when I was at university, at Bung Iwan. Hi, Bung Iwan. Hope you are doing well in this pandemic, and I hope everyone are safe and healthy. Obviously, you know, this is a very weird times that we're all facing in, but hey, look, you know, if not because of the pandemic, I'm not going to be able to see all of you guys. So well done, and thank you for turning up today. If you don't mind, I would like to share my screen here. Okay, I hope everyone can see that. You know, I mean, these are all the information that you've already introduced before. My name's Yahya Zakaria or Zaki. You can follow me on Instagram, Yahya Zaki. Oh my God, where should I start? Yeah, English has become really, really important throughout my career history. I remember that I learned English the first time when I was in grade 3 in primary school. And then I just love, I guess, you know, I have always had the passion in learning languages. And then I really, right until I finished high school in 2010, I decided to, you know, why not pursuing my English study at university? And of course, STB Alia has, you know, was in the top priority list because it offers a specific into that school. And then I just realized that, oh, hang on a minute, I thought my English back then at senior high school was already good enough, you know, but clearly not. And then throughout my university study with STB Alia has given me a lot more in depth, you know, of English as a language. And I learned a lot, obviously. And it's really interesting that in the introductory video, they said that as a STB Alia student, you will get then the chance to see other overseas students studying Indonesian. And that's exactly the moment when I realized, wow, interacting with those students is very fun, because back then I get to help them with their Indonesian, and they get to help me with my English. And then since then on, I literally decided myself, I want to teach Indonesian for non-native speaker. And so to do that, and I said to myself, if I'm teaching Indonesian to overseas people who doesn't speak Indonesian to begin with, I have to be really good with my English, okay? Since then, I really take my English seriously. You know, I keep practicing and watching lots and lots of video and tutorial video on YouTube. I mean, with the language is that 1 hour, 2 hours of language study is not enough, you know, although I'm literally attending classes most of the time through STB Alia, but still not enough language exposure, you know. A lot of Indonesian that I realized that you do understand people speaking English, yeah, but what about you responding what they're saying? Yeah, that's a two different thing. So it was a bit of a struggle for me to actually using the language actively. And so I started to create, as Zuzka said, my YouTube, Learn Real Bahasa Indonesia. I didn't get the chance to teach, you know, student, because how can I do not know if there's any overseas or expatriate living in Jakarta that wants to study with me. So I decided to, maybe I started making that little tutorial YouTube video. Now, remember, this is 2013. Before all those YouTube sensation happening, I already started. and Saneri is my witness. And Saneri was a big supporter. Yes, Zaki, let's do that, making that video on YouTube. So making that video, speaking over it, is actually a practice, you know, for you to actually using your language. So I started making the video, and then my career as an Indonesian teacher just went on and on and on and on. And then after that, after I promoting myself on the YouTube, I get a chance to get student online, yeah? So again, before all this online lesson happening during the pandemic, I already started it, yeah? So I teach Indonesian course online, and then all of my students are from all over the world. Now you see, we've got women, we've got adults, we've got young kids, we've got people from different skin and color and nationality. They love learning Indonesian. Now, you are, as an Indonesian, plays an important role, yeah, to spread your language, spread our beautiful culture to the world. But then you have to also remember that to do that, you need to be able to speak English, yeah? So before you promoting Indonesian language, you need to be able to, you know, have a good English so that your message is delivered, yeah? I'm just going to show you a little bit of a video about my Indonesian online teaching journey. It's only like a 30-second clip, and I'll let you have it. Hopefully it's working well. Okay. Oops, what's going on here? Just bear with me for a second. Imagine if language teachers exposed students to the enormous underbelly of the language iceberg, the assumptions, the values, the beliefs. We could build peace through understanding, tolerance and acceptance, one word at a time. My passion is to teach Indonesian online to all, regardless of age, ethnicity, beliefs, gender or nationality. I strive to help them develop their language, understand our culture, ways of life, beliefs. I work to build understanding and disrupt stereotypes. I wonder how I can do this better. What is out there? I want to know more. So it was just a little project video that I did to promote the program, basically. And since then on, then I get to come to Australia, to Sydney in 2014, teaching to community languages, and then, you know, doing a bit of a saving up that helped me to study for my master's degree at Monash University. And then after that, you know, continue my study in Victoria University. So it's just helped my career professionally and also my knowledge, because I get a chance to study overseas. Now, I know that some of you are really interested in studying overseas and working overseas. Then the number one weapon that you should have is obviously master your English. Yeah. So maybe I have to leave it at that. If you got any question for me, feel free to type in, and there will be a time for you all to ask me a question. Yeah, I think that's all for me. Thank you very much, Ziska. And I'll hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Zaki. So Zaki found his true calling in teaching Indonesian to non-native speakers. A very inspiring story. Thank you for sharing with us. And our second speaker will be Saneri or Shere. So Shere is a 29 years old graduate from both Elbelia and STB Alia. She has participated in a lot of activities during her studies, including several competitions held by Elbelia and Tempo Institute, social movements, and capacity building platforms through which she could become executive director of national public event called Akarnaval Indonesia Kreatif in 2013, and also youth speaker for human rights issues across many platforms. She was awarded with full scholarship from Ministry of Education for her studies in STB Alia, and she also received scholarship from US government to study in the US Institute for New Media in Journalism in 2012. She has become an Indonesian youth representative for ASEAN Youth Summit in the Philippines in 2013. During her last year in STB Alia, she got employed in Plan International, which is one of the top 3 biggest child rights organizations in the world, with the presence in over 70 countries. Her current role is a program development specialist, where she develops social investment programs for community development and equality for girls in Indonesia. Her work allowed her to travel the world and give her the opportunity to speak for UN Global Discussion in Geneva in 2018 on the topic of empowering girls as human rights defenders. So now I'll leave the floor to you, Shere.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. Thank you, Zuzka, for introducing me. And of course, thank you, STB Alia and LBPP Lia for giving me a space today to share on how English language is truly benefiting my life, particularly in my career. As mentioned before, I'm currently working in Plan International. This is a global organization for child rights and social programs to improve the lives of marginalized children and community in Indonesia and also around the world. I'm in the Indonesia office in Jakarta, but I've been traveling already in 4 continents, if I'm not mistaken, yes. And been also speaking in the United Nations global events and other global events in Geneva, Istanbul, and also many others. And I went to this to STB Alia in the same year with Zaki. So Zaki was my best friend, my classmate, and he's he's really amazing. And yeah, on this opportunity, I'd like to begin with sharing my personal motivation that drives me to invest more in studying English at the first place. So I was coming from marginalized family, but I had a very big dream. I aspires to be part of global communities, to give extensive contribution for marginalized people and communities just like myself when I was a kid. And of course, it's not only in Indonesia, but also around the world. That's my mission in life. Therefore, I always dream to work in such a global international organizations so that I have all the network resources that I need to achieve that goal. And at the time, obviously, I really acknowledge that English competence was the very first stepping stone. But that's exactly my challenge actually at the time, because as a marginalized, as a person coming from marginalized family, I only went through public schools in Indonesia, in slums areas to be specific. So where English was only taught for very basic level. So I'd like to share with you how the milestone that I went through from the stepping stone into where I am today. The first step was that I decided to enroll in LBPP LIA Pangadegan in Jakarta to assess my English competence because, you know, knowing our current English competence is very important to help us decide more relevant areas to improve so that you're not, you know, like confusing yourself which one to enter, which class that I should take, and what kind of materials and everything. So I think if you join LBPP LIA, just like myself, you will be assess whether your English is still in basic, intermediate, and or already in advanced level. So that would be really helpful. And the next milestone, I think this is the most also important part is that I got full scholarship from government so that I can enroll in STB Alia. I was taking English literature with journalism concentration. And for me, maybe it's also very good with the young people here. If you want to work in global organizations just like myself, I think we need to acquire English for multiple purposes. So not only for daily conversation, it should be beyond that. So in my work, I need to have a good writing skills, formal speech, negotiation skills, because I work in I work with different stakeholders around the world in more than 70 countries, and you know I have to pitch the program, get international funding and everything. So that's a lot of professional English skills that I should be acquired to survive in my work. So that's exactly if you are being an English student, I think you will get those skills during your study. For example, in STB Alea, when I was studying there are subjects like formal speech, conversation, formal writing, cross-cultural understanding, and yeah, those subjects that will be really helpful to do in my work if you also want to have a career in international organization. And yeah, and but not last but not least, I think it is also important if you are planning to study to choose university or campus. It is important to study in a supporting environment so that you can boost your full potentials. Like for example, in STB Alia, all students there, including myself at the time, was encouraged to take various exposures inside and outside the organization. Video, I think you've already watched. Like there are also some international students studying in STB Alia as well, and also it is also very helpful that STB Alia also encourage students to exposure outside. Like it makes me become joining a lot of exchange programs when I was studying in STB Alia, like joining exchange program in the United States, representing Indonesian youth in the global level in the Philippines during my study, and also joining and leading social movement organizations outside the campus as well. And STB Alia was really supportive for that. And those experiences I really treasure the most because that's exactly something that shaped my confidence, broadened my network, that finally brings me to where I am today. So I think last one is that if you feel like it resonates with you, you wanted to have a career in a global organization or institutions like myself, I think you can have a look at my milestone that I went through to give you an idea of what to do to improve the English language. And yeah, lastly, go start by registering yourself in STB Alia and in LBPP Alia as well, so that you can improve your English for professional purposes. So good luck, and looking forward to be in the same alma mater with all of you, with me, with Zach and others. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shere, for sharing. And I think it's a powerful message that it doesn't matter where you start, but your actions determine where you want to go. So Shere is a proven example of exactly that. She tried very hard and she got where she is by hard work. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your language journey with us. And our next speaker is Geren. Garen is an STBA graduate. During his studies, he was in top 5 finalists for English speech national competition in Mercubuana, representing SMK Bina Dharma in 2012. He was invited to perform traditional dance of Maluku for welcoming the President of Indonesia, Joko Widodo. He has broad experience in hospitality industry, and currently he works at Marriott International, which is a 5-star hotel chain. Throughout his studies, he has also become a teaching assistant in I Can Read language course and participated in several committees in STB Alia events. Garen also runs his own small business for premium sandwiches and coffee. So, Garen?
Okay, thank you so much, Zuzka, for the introduction. I am so humbled, and I would like to say thank you as well for Lia Foundation and STBA Lia, Bung Iwan, Bu Visi, and to you as well, Zuzka, who reached me out through WhatsApp and inviting me to this webinar. Yeah, it's such an amazing experience to be able to collaborate as well with which Scenery, with Mas Gilang, and with Zek, which happened to be my senior back then in the college. So yeah, it's really amazing, and I would like to welcome also to the audience. Hi everyone, hope you guys doing fine. I know it's such a hard time for all of us, but you know, we find a way to stay connected, and I am so grateful for that. So I would like to share a bit about my working experiences. So I started my career in a hospitality industry back in 2017, and I have to admit that it wasn't very easy. There was ups and downs, and yeah, it's a roller coaster journey for me. But you know, it's challenging and fun at the same time as well. And to be able to work in a startup company such as Doors, who gave me the opportunity to handle all the bookings, the guests worldwide, and not only for Indonesia but also across Southeast Asia, such as Singapore, Philippines, Thailand, and also Vietnam. So yeah, I learned a lot of skill in Red Doors, and by those skills, I get the opportunity as well to work in Marriott International as a cluster reservation in a 5-star hotel. It's totally a different level, and yeah, I am very grateful as well for that. I mean, all of this, I can tell that. I mean, it's because if it wasn't because of English, I couldn't be who I am today. If it wasn't because of English, I can work in Red Doors and also Marriott International. So yeah, that's a bit about my journey and how English can really help me through this journey. And of course, for to those who are still, I mean, who is going to enter the college, probably in STBalia, and choose the career and choose the English as your major, I would like to share a bit about the tips probably that you need right after you graduate in the college, such as I would like, yeah. Um, the first tip that I would like to share is that you have to get to know your value. I mean by this is that you have to know yourself, because right after I graduated, this is based on my true story. When I graduated from STBalia, I was kind of confused about choosing my career right after I graduated. So yeah, this is important to know your value, to know your value. I mean by this is that to know your your strength, to know your weakness, to know your uniqueness, to know your passion. And I can give you the example, such as Zach is one of the greatest example that I can that I can share to all of you, because he knew his passion back then. He likes to creating a video, and and teaching Bahasa. He got the opportunity to work abroad as a teacher. So yeah, isn't it amazing? I mean, how can passion be your job as well, right? So that's the first point that I would like to share, getting to know your value. And the second one, of course, to those who will have a moment to to go to the college. You really have to enjoy the moment, every single moment in the college, because it's really helpful for your career in the future, because uh, there will be companies as well who look for the organization uh, that you participate in. And also by those organizations, they will see that you have the willingness as well, so they will consider it. And it's a good point that you can have during your moment in the college, especially as the realia. So as well, you have to make friends, as many as possible, because they are going to be your job preferences one day. All right, you don't know that they may be going to be your job preferences one day. Because, for example, this is also based on my true story. Right after I graduated from STB Alia, and I got a friend as well in STB Alia who offered me this opportunity to be a teacher in I Can Read, just Zuska mentioned before. But yeah, it didn't take very long, because I wasn't sure about teaching. It wasn't my passion. So back then, again, to the value, you have to get to know your value right after you graduate from your college. And then yeah, right after that, I start to work in a startup company, which is Red Doors. And there, when I finally found my passion as a reservation. And yeah, I guess that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. I really like the tips that you shared. So yes, it's very important to know your value and what you're interested in. And I think it's okay to try different things, but it's important that you find yourself in something. So thank you so much, Karen, for sharing your language journey. And our fourth speaker for today is Gilang. Gilang is a development practitioner and a graduate of STBA Alia. During his studies in STBA, he had the opportunity to become an Indonesian youth ambassador in the Canada exchange program. He was an awardee of Australia Award Scholarship and a recipient of Vice Chancellor's Student Development Fund for his studies at Murdoch University. Besides his studies, he was also a president of Murdoch University Indonesian Student Association. He has broad experience not only in tourism, but also in education as well. He was a teacher and branch manager of a language course, and he also became a managing editor for Indonesia Travel Signature magazine. His interest in community development led him to establish Travelcism, which is a startup that supports sustainable tourism and empowers local communities around Yogyakarta in increasing their economy through tourism. So, Gilang?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jessica, for precise introduction about me. Yeah, so probably I'm just gonna start to share my screen a bit. Yeah, okay, so good afternoon, everyone. And then thank you very much for this opportunity for the committee, to give me opportunity to share my experience in learning language. And then I would like to say hi as well to my lecturer, Bung Iwan. He's an amazing lecturer back there when I studied at STB Alia. So I studied in STB Alia in 2003, and then I graduated. I was supposed to graduate in 2007 for 4 years, but Unfortunately, I could finish that in 6 years, but I've got a good reason for that, because at that time in 2007, 2008, I joined the Indonesia Canada Youth Exchange Program. So we stayed in Canada for several months, and then we stayed in Indonesia together with Canadian participants in Indonesia in a very small village in Sulawesi back there in Gorontalo, to do some like development program activities. As mentioned, I was the alumnus of Murdoch University through Australia with scholarship. I also founded the sustainable tour startup called Travel System. Now, everyone has already shared, all the speakers, Kak Zaki, Kak Garen, and Kak Shrey also already shared their experience in learning language. Now, what I'm trying to share to you is it's based on my personal experience on challenges during or after language studies. The first challenge for me is actually the language itself, English. At that time, English was very difficult for me. When I was in senior high school, my English was not really good. My English score was like up and down, up and down. In junior high school and senior high school, until in grade 11, if I'm not mistaken, I started to take English course at LBPP LIA. So it's the same with Shirley. I was also graduated from LBPP LIA English course, and then I continued my study at STB LIA. English language was very difficult, and I just found the reason why, because English is actually non-phonetic language. It's not, it's not pronounced the same way as it is spelled. As simple word, for example, like you spell C-A-T, it's not sit, but it's actually cat. So it's that kind of simple word is actually makes English is not a phonetic language. Grammar rules are just like, there are so many grammar rules that you have to learn. 16 tenses, if I'm not mistaken, 16 tenses. And when I did the Indonesia-Canada Youth Exchange Program in Sulawesi at that time, I remember my Canadian friend, because we were appointed to be the program officer for educational division. So we taught English in school in Gorontalo. We taught English for students and also for teachers. And my Canadian mate, he bought a book, English grammar book, and he found like there are a lot of rules that we need to learn when we were in school. And he was just saying, he was really shocked. Oh, Gilang, I can't imagine that. That's why, no wonder that most Indonesians took like very long time to learn English, because you have to learn this kind of rules. If you see the example over there, past, future, perfect, continuous tense, he was just mentioning about that. What is that? And like how, when, how often do you use that? In the real conversation, in daily conversation, daily communication, we rarely use that kind of tenses, past, future, perfect, continuous tense. So probably this example, I would have been reading your messages. So that's kind of structure. But in daily communication, when you are abroad, if you try to speak and communicate in English, as long as you know 5 basic tenses, such as like simple present, simple past, simple future, present perfect, present continuous, I think that's enough for you to understand what is everyone saying. If you master that 5 tenses, I'm really sure you will be able to master the other tenses, because it's just like a combination of those structures. Vocabularies, there are a lot of vocabularies that you have to memorize. The higher level of your academic level that you reach, there will be more complex vocabularies that you need to learn. For example, when you were in high school, and it's going to be a little bit different when you experience, when you study language in university level. For example, I'll give you another example, important. You use important word most of the time. Oh, this is very important. But in the academic level, sometimes you need to change into another synonym that sounds a little bit more academic, into, for example, pivotal or essential. So this data is very important. So this data is very pivotal. So something like that. Enough, sufficient. So you need to change enough into sufficient. That kind of stuff. Slang and colloquialism. Well, British English, American English, Australian English, probably Mazaka already experienced that, Australian English, because he also got Australian accent at the moment. You observe like a very good Australian accent. Well, all English have, most languages, many languages, all languages have our own slang. And I'm giving you the example here. This is from Australian slang. Well, FYI, that Australian really like to shorten everything. So this is just an example. For example, like this hour, I need to go to Macca's because before we had to Barbie because I'm very hungry. I didn't have a chance to have brekkie. Then we need to stop at the servo because we're running on empty, and we can also grab a coldie. How will you understand that if you don't understand the context in a full, I mean, like, I don't understand English in a full context. So learning language is important. As what Bung said in the video, it's not only about learning language, but also learning about the culture, learning about the whole context of what is actually meant by that. So this afternoon, I need to go to Macca's. Macca's, is that even English word? Well, for Australian, that's English word. Macca's, it's for McDonald's. So I need to go to McDonald's before we head to Barbie. Barbie is not a Barbie doll. Like Barbie is like a barbecue. So before this afternoon, I need to go to McDonald's before we head to the barbecue party because I'm very hungry. I didn't have a chance to have brekkie. Brekkie is a shortened word for breakfast. So to have brekkie. Then we need to stop at the servo. Servo, what's that? Like we need to stop at the service station or gas station because we are running on empty. All right, we are running on empty. When you try to understand English, if you translate it word by word, sometimes it doesn't really make sense. If you translate "we are running on empty," it doesn't make sense for this sentence. So you have to understand the whole context. We are running out of gas. So that's that context means in this sentence. And we can also grab a coldie. So what do you guess? What do you think? Coldie. Coldie is a cold drink. So something like this. When you are learning language, that is really enough. It's not really sufficient for you to learn just the language and grammar rules. You have to understand all the context. When I studied at STBLEA, we learned about Australian culture and society studies, British culture and society studies, Australian culture and society studies. So STBLEA provided those kind of subjects that you are learning, so you understand the whole context and culture of English, not just about the language. So yeah, and then for those challenges, how to deal with that, this is what I did. Read a lot of books, read a lot of comic books, read articles, read English articles, read English novels if you like novels. Listen a lot to English stuff, listen to English podcasts, because when you are listening, you grab the accent. Mazaki already grabbed the Australian accent because he's living there. And then practice speaking a lot to your friends, to your lecturers, of course. Write a lot in English, write in English, because when you are writing in English, your brain is actually automatically working to make a sentence that makes sense. And then watch a lot of movies, English movies, of course, with English subtitle. It's going to be better because you can also practice your pronunciation. Play. It's not only about study, because it's really boring. For me, it's really boring. So you have to play English, something related to English to improve your English skills. Another challenge that for me during my studies, like the supporting environment. So Kak Shreya has already mentioned about like we really need supporting environment, and at STBLEA, thank God that they provide a very supportive supporting environment where you can actually practice your English. Outside the campus, it's really important where you learn your English. It's really important which country that you learn English, because what I experienced in the past when I studied English at STBLEA, when I go out of the campus environment, I try to speak in English with my friends. They're very judgmental. They were just saying, "Oh, Gilang, speak in Indonesian because you're just showing off your English." Well, it don't make that demotivate you to keep practicing your English because you're just different. And then who are the lecturers? What kind of teaching methods they use? And luckily, thank God, like in STBLEA, they've got a very good teaching methods that makes you not feel really bored in the classroom, because they've got a great teaching method as well. Supporting facilities such as internet technology, free ebooks, podcasts, etc. And yeah, at that time, because I studied in 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At that time, internet is not something as booming as it is now. It was really, you want to get English resources was very limited. Now everything is online. You can get all the information very easy online. Thank God, because you are very spoiled now with the technology. This one, you have to maximize using those technologies, especially, for example, like free ebooks. In my year, when I did my thesis about inter-rater reliability, well, I forgot the title, inter-rater reliability of, well, I actually compared two techniques between holistic method and analytical method to score the essay when I did my undergrad at STB Alia. The sources that I had at that time was only books in STBA library, and I mean, like, although I only found some sources in the library, they've got like such a great resources. It's very sufficient for me to finish my thesis at that time. But now information is everywhere. For example, like I gave you the link there, the springer.com. That is actually the free ebooks sources written by international researchers all over the world. You can access that link to more than 1,000 books based on the topics that you are interested in. I told you, you are very spoiled with this kind of information, with this kind of technology. Use that one. For this challenge, what I did is, yeah, so 4 steps for me. I think Zuzka, Sheree, Garen, and also Zaki already mentioned about what is your motivation. Boost your motivation. Make your self-motivation. What is actually your motivation to learn English? And I read some data from the survey that you did to join this event. Mostly that you are planning to study abroad, right? So yeah, stick with that. That is your self-motivation. And then after that, focus on your self-motivation. Don't let people distract you to achieve your dream, to actually focus on your self-motivation. Practice, practice, and practice. Maximize the technology utilization. Maximize the technology that you can actually access everywhere online. So this is like share a little bit tips about what I did in the past to learn language. And the next one, the next challenge is actually not during your study, but actually not, oh well, the title is not actually challenge after studying, because I believe that learning language is a non-stop learning process. Even I'm still learning language now because it keeps updated, it keeps going, a lot of new terms, English new terms that you need to learn. Even if you pursue your career abroad in international organization, you are still learning a lot of different English terms. I told you, so learning language is non-stop learning process. Probably the more appropriate for these starters like challenge after you graduate from STBLIA, yeah? So there are 2 challenges. The first one, linear major for higher degree, which means that, for example, if you are applying, for you who want to study abroad, if you want to apply for master's degree, because for example, at that time, I was really into education. So I tried to pursue my master's in education, master's of education. Not all campus, I mean, like many campuses require you to have a linear major. When you graduated from STB Alia, your title would be English Bachelor of Literature or Sarjana Sastra, yeah. And then when you are trying to pursue Masters of Education, many universities require you to have Bachelor of Education. What you need to do is you need to find a lot of information about which universities doesn't require you to have a linear major. So you need the access online, find a lot of information about it. I did that at the time. I found University of Twente. I got the LOA from University of Twente in the Netherlands, but unfortunately I didn't receive the scholarship because it was really hard. Erasmus Mundus was really, really competitive scholarship, yeah. And then, but what I'm trying to say is like, do not stick with what you are planning. You have to find the solution with the problems when you face this kind of challenge. And also, the last tip from me is that learning language depends on your mindset. If you have negative mindset, I believe that English language or learning language will only limit the opportunities. But if you have positive mindset, you have a broadened mindset, I assume that you will agree with me that learning English, learning language will open up more opportunities for you in the future, for your path, for your future path, either for your academic level or your for professional level. You already witnessed, like the proof. Some of the alumni from STBA, we took different path. Zaki took the same path in language path, but everyone here sometimes we take different paths. Okay, and yeah, that's all from me. So if you got any questions, we can connect each other, and then that's all from me. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Gilang. I think with a lot of people, it resonated what you said about the challenges of studying the language, whether it's professionally or generally in life, studying language. And as you can see, you don't have to necessarily have the passion or the talent for language in order to learn the language. As Gilang already shared, there are lots and lots of strategies and lots of resources for you to get better in English, even if you don't feel like you're the most gifted person when you start learning the language, whether it's English or other language. Thank you so much, Gilang, for sharing. So now we are going to open a question and answer session. You feel free to write down your questions in the chat box. So you can address the question to either one of the particular speakers, or you can ask all the speakers the same question. So we're going to give you some time. Later at the end, we are also going to give away 3 prizes for the most interesting questions. So this is your time to really get to know what you want to know, like whether it's studying abroad, whether it's maybe about language education, whether it's about whether language education can lead to any kind of career, because you can, all these 4 people are very good examples of how studying language does not necessarily mean that you have to be a translator or an English teacher. You can pick any career you want. This is just something that opens you up to the opportunities. So feel free to ask your questions, write them down in the... while we are waiting for the questions, I have one question for all our speakers. So I would be interested to know if there is anything during your you regret, something that maybe you haven't done or something you have done and you felt like you shouldn't have done it. So do you have any regrets when it comes to your studies? Okay. Anyone wants to start? I think you're still thinking about the question.
I think I can start.
All right, yes.
Okay, so what is actually that I regret the most? Well, I mentioned, I shared to you that at that time when I did my thesis, that these sources of information that I got only from the library from STB Alia, although it's very, they're like complete resources for me, but I regret that I didn't use the resources outside of the campus environments. A lot of sources from outside, and like the one that I just shared, the link from Springer Books, because when you had that access for more resources outside the internal sources, I believe that my thesis would be a little bit more analytical than what it was. So yeah, I was really regretful that I didn't put my maximum effort to find more information.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay.
Well, I can respond to that. In response to your questions about what are the things that I could have done when I was studying at STB earlier, I can't think of anything, because I thought I've done everything. I mean, Sharon knows, Bung Iwan knows that I'm always running on 8 legs, doing running organization, you know, socializing with mates, and also doing some tutoring. I think, you know, I'm ticking most of my boxes. Yeah, I was quite happy with my past experiences, I think.
Thank you so much, Zaki, for sharing. Garen, Shere, who would like to share?
I was going to speak, but it's still
Alright.
it's still in mute.
All right, no problem.
Maybe yeah, maybe for me something that I regret the most is that in STB Alia actually there is a very interesting subject about learning cross cultural understanding, which is we're gonna learn like exposure on different cultures, English speaking countries and everything. But I didn't really think that that's important. But when I am enrolled in a international global organization where I have to deal with a lot of different people from from around the world, from African, like British and everything. So it's really challenging. I think I wish I could really learn that deep using a lot of resources and everything that STB Alia provides at the time. There are some we had a very great library there and everything, but I didn't really think that learning cross-cultural understanding was really important. But now I use a lot of resources now to really understand, because for me, I quote unquote selling programs to people, so I really need to understand the culture, to win the projects, to have funding and everything. So it's kind of, interactions is really important. So yeah.
Great, Shere. Thank you so much for sharing. Garen, any
Wow,
regrets?
such a question. But as for me, it would have to be the focuses that the STB Alia provided, which is teaching. Yeah, because right after I graduated, as I told before, that I didn't have that much skill of teaching, because I have to teach the kids, the children, and that's definitely the thing that I regret, not to take that focus on teaching. That's all.
Thank you so much. From experience, I know teaching children can be challenging, so I understand your experience as well, personally. All right, so we have a question for all the panelists. Nuzul would like to ask, if you are still not sure what you want to pursue as your future career, how do you motivate yourself to take the next steps?
Okay, is that a question for who? All of us?
For everyone, for all the
Okay, let me just start that then.
Right.
Hi, Nuzul. Thank you for giving that question. That was exactly how I felt when I was still in high school. Similar situation to Shere. I was raised and born from a not so fortunate family. Yeah. My family were not very wealthy or rich, and it was, for me, the option was not going to university after school. It was just working, whatever job I can do. But then, I also didn't know, what am I going to be doing in my life? Because for many of our young graduates at high school, most of them will be just going to uni. And again, sometimes you can't even decide what sort of major or study that you want to do for your future career. Sometimes we have to make a really big decision at such a very young age, okay? Now, if you're not quite sure of what you're gonna do with your life next, then don't worry. This is a feeling where it's shared by so many our teenagers. But then you gotta ask yourself, you gotta ask yourself, what is it that you enjoy doing the most? What is it that you do very good at? Are you good at drawing? Are you good at speaking in another language? What is it, the subject that you enjoyed the most when you were in high school? For me, personally, it was studying English, and I just thought, I'll be very happy if my career use English language, or I will continue my study to further study my English. And so I decided to continue with SAB Alia. And again, I think back then a lot of people were underestimating me, saying that, Zaki, why do you want to learn English at university? What can you do with that degree? They're undermining my study in SAB Alia. And then I challenged them back. We're studying English language, and language is used as a tool of communication. Which part of the job these days that does not require English? All of the job will require English. So I guess when you study English in university, 4 years, right? So 4 times to later decide what you want to do in life. Okay. Now, within those 4 years, you build up your English language skills, and then within those 4 years, you will then experience to get involved with an organization. You try to involve with the seminar here and there, and start to kind of like asking yourself, oh, maybe I should go in this direction. Maybe I should go in that direction. And when that's happening, it comes from a maturity. Yeah, it comes from a maturity, and then guess what? You're already good with your English, and that's a big tick. Yeah, so you will appear stand out. So it's okay if you're not sure. And if you ever get bored, because probably you didn't enjoy doing that much, maybe because you don't have a passion in there. So the very first thing that you need to ask yourself is that, what is it that you have a big interest in? What is it that you enjoy doing the most? Because coming from there, then it will avoid down the track you feeling unmotivated, because truly that's your passion. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zaki. Very well said indeed. What about the others? Anyone else would like to share how to figure out how to motivate yourself when you don't know yet what to do?
Well, Mrs. Zaki has already concluded everything. What I'm trying to add a little bit is just like, life is very flexible, yeah, and life is very flexible. At that time when I was in your age, wow, it sounds like I'm so old. when I was in your age, yeah, I mean, like, I was also confused what to pursue. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be a doctor. Well, it's very mainstream. And then at the time, what I was good at math and also English. And then I asked my father, what should I do? Which unit that I need to go to? My father gave me options. You are good at math, why don't you apply for math? You are good at English, why don't you apply for English language? And then I've got 2 options at the time. I applied together in another university for math, and then also STBLIA for English. And then I got accepted for both universities, and I decided, after that I was confused again which one to choose. And I was just thinking, math, science, science, you want to be a scientist or you want to be a teacher? English. Well, my father mentioned, I think that was the same thing in the video that my father mentioned as well. If you want to conquer the world, you have to master the language. And that's what makes me choosing STBLIA to pursue my education, my undergrad in English language. As I mentioned, as Zaki also mentioned, 4 years is actually very enough times. It's very sufficient for you to decide what you are going to do next. What's the most important thing is, what's your passion? Pursue that passion, focus on your passion. During the way, if there is a little bit change, that's okay. In 2007, I joined Indonesia-Canada Youth Exchange Program. Of course, I was still into education, English education. I was appointed to be the program officer for educational division. But when I joined that Indonesia-Canada Youth Exchange Program, they focus more on development sector. since then, that's why like my passion now changed a little bit from English education to development sector, and from development sector, and then after that it changed a little bit into tourism sector, because I also did a little bit research on tourism, and after that it just combines all together. My startup, travel system, development sector, tourism sector, even we also provide trainings for English for tourism. So I still touch a little bit on education, on teaching sector as well. So life is flexible, enjoy, follow your passion. So
thank you so much, Gilang. I think you said it very well. Geren, Sharon, you have something to add to?
Yes, well, as for me, that again, it's true what Zach said, and also Kak Gilang said. It's again to getting to know your value, as I mentioned before. You have really to ask yourself, what are you really good at? And I would like to at some point, if you cannot ask yourself, then you can ask surrounding your close friends, your lecturer about the passion that actually you have, but you don't know. And also to again enjoy the college life. You take the organization in STB Alia, in your college, and then by the time you will find out what is your passion, and that you can apply in the future. So I think that will be the advice from me, is again to know your value, to know your passion, and then right after that, by the time you will find out what it is.
Thank you so much, Garen, for sharing. Shere, do you have?
I think everyone already, I think we have the same, actually, like about passion is very important, but maybe because I see there's also specific questions and several questions, if we are okay to go to the next questions, which is for me.
All right, yes, sure.
Yeah. so that I don't repeat, what others
All
are.
right. Okay, so I would just like to mention the question. So Chitra would like to ask Shere how to get involved in international organization at the very beginning.
Yeah, thank you, Chitra, for asking a very interesting questions. And anyway, Sharon, not Sharon, but that's a very beautiful name as well, Sharon. Maybe I can use that name. So yeah, because I'm coming from the development organization. So if you are interested in development organization like Plan International, actually we are in particular working to empower young people. So involvement of young people like all of you, including Chitra, is actually our bread and butter. So if you are passionate about social issues, environment issues, you want to contribute to change your nation, for the betterment of your nations, I think you have already have the ticket to enter the development sector, the development organization. So the practical tips is just very simple. I think you just keep aside social media and have a look of the programs that the organizations are doing. Like Plan International, we're focusing on children's rights, young people empowerment, and also environment. So if it resonates with you, your passions, your plan, then you may just join through volunteering programs, because there are a lot of volunteering programs. I think that's also really important for young people. Again, as I mentioned before, that it is important not only focus on academic level inside of the campus, but also to have a lot of exposure outside, joining, international events and, exchange program, volunteering in organizations and everything. So your question is really that important. So you just need to email through our social media, or you can also email us, DM and everything, and ask for volunteering programs. And usually after that, like I also in my own organization, there are a lot of volunteering programs and also youth platforms that you can join. For example, youth advocates program, youth champion programs. I think there are some STB Alia students as well joining these platforms. Yeah. So if you are studying in STB Alia, then I would say you have easy access to enter those organizations, especially in Plan International, because there is alumni there. So yeah, with through this platform, you can later on see, and usually it is very easy if you are already inside the network. Then there will be a lot of open vacant for for new entries, new entries position that you can easily apply. So yeah, very easy. Just go to our websites and social media.
Thank you, Cher, so much. I think now in the world of technology, finding the right kind of opportunity is very easy. So you just look for the organization that excites you and connect with the organization.
Oh,
thanks for sharing.
Oh, I guess Citra is already in STB Alia, so yeah, the golden
Nice.
ticket then.
Great.
Can I add a little bit on that, because I used to work for the consortium as well. So before I Australian national organizations as well. For Nurul, I think that's Nurul, yeah. So for Nurul, a lot of international organizations, they have a very specific focus. Yeah, not all international organizations focus on education. There are also some other international organizations focus on health, on education, health, poverty, reducing poverty reduction, such as in Australia, for example, we have children as well. We have World Vision, Oak Tree for poverty, Save the Children, that's for the children as well. So international organizations have the very specific focus. Again, what is your passion on? If you're passionate on education, follow the international organization that focus on education. Yeah. If you master health sector, just join the international organization on health sector. How to get that kind of information? Kasher already mentioned that her organization provides all information and also activities for youth, for you international students, for the students as well, to have opportunity to do internship. Apply for the internship, because internship is also a broaden, open your mind to enter the professional environments. Yeah, so you're not only studying, but you can also get experience on the professional experience as well. Join the networking event. There are a lot of international networking events. Join on that. Expand yourself. Well, I don't mean like you have to slice yourself and put on enter a lot of meetings. That's like find the networking events, join the internet the networking event, so you can actually have a very broader network, because that is very useful for you for your future. Volunteer. If you want to apply for the scholarship, they will also require you whether you have professional experience at least 2 years. Chevening, 2 years for working or volunteering experience. Australia Award Scholarship, 2 years of working experience or internship experience. So volunteering in international organization might be a very good foundation for you. So yeah, that's just a little bit additional on that.
All right, great. Thank you so much. I think these are great inputs for Chitra. So hopefully she will be very excited to join some organization very soon. Now we have a question for all the speakers. Actually, 2 of our participants, both Alifa and Eka, would like to know, they are both planning to take English major next year for their college studies. And they would like to know how can they improve their speaking abilities within a year. So they have sort of a shorter time period, and they would like to know how to speed up the process of improving their English skills. So who would like to?
Maybe I could start, considering I do experience with lots of teaching the language. I always said to my student, if you want to be able to be more fluent in your speaking, you know, there are 4 main skills in language. Yeah. So you've got your reading, your speaking, your listening, and writing. Now, reading and writing, they're not very active. Yeah, they call the passive competence. Listening and speaking, those are the 2 elements that you need to focus on to build up your fluency. Okay. Now, before you be able to speak, you got to listen, like how the babies talk. Yeah, baby, just listen, listen, listen. You don't worry much about I have to understand every single word. Well, then you never get to it. Okay, so just listen. The idea is for you to get exposure, more exposure with the language, be more familiarized with the words. So the more you will listen, the more automatic word will automatically come out of your brain. Yeah. So listen a lot. And when I was at university with STB Alia, I just, you know, randomly searching for free English online podcasts. And then we're going to listen to these, just a story of 3-minute audio. I listen to it. I don't necessarily understand all of it, but I can pick up, oh yeah, I think I know that one. I think I know that one, you know? So just, you know, understand that little bit, and then you make connection, okay? And that's how you would learn the new words or new phrases, yeah? And there are some times where, oh, he's using a particular phrase. It's like, oh, it's raining cats and dogs. Obviously, when you're learning on your own, you don't understand. And that's the moment where you will talk to your lecturer. Oh, I heard this on the podcast. Can you tell me what that means? And your lecturer will probably teach you that way. So listen a lot, yeah? And secondly, I mean, when you talk about listening, you can also watch film, yeah? Because in film, you've got subtitles. So the thing is to get your ear more exposure, all right? Now, the other thing is, you know how sometimes when you're getting ready for school, when you are going to the restaurant, when you're talking about your mates, you often talk to yourself. Let's say, hey, where's the towel? Yeah, mungkin setelah selesai mandi, you're looking for, where's the towel? You talk that to yourself, okay? And then let's say, oh, where did I put my books? Okay, you often, you know, use that language yourself. Now, when I was a university student, I tried to exercise myself. How do I say, where's my towel in English? Okay, and then oh, I forgot to do the washes. You know, I forgot to call my mom. You know, sometimes you use that language. Yeah? How then you practice yourself? Change that to English, and then you're gonna ask yourself, oh, I didn't know how to use the word extravagant, for example. And then the time you study, okay, how do you actually say that? So you don't have to find people to practice. Just practice within yourself, because it all comes back again to start from you, okay? That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zaki. I think that's a very valuable advice for improving English skills. What about the other speakers? Do you guys have anything you'd like to add? Any other advice for improving your English skills fast?
I couldn't agree more, Zach. Mic drops.
Yeah, I think Zach is the best person to part. So no for me.
Great.
One word, agreed.
Wonderful. So everybody agrees with what Zaki already perfectly summed up. I would just add one thing that I think the speakers already mentioned as well is do not get discouraged if you want to use English on a daily basis. Like, don't get discouraged when people tell you or judge you that why are you using English? This is Indonesia. Just if you know that this is your focus, just stick to it. That's what I can say. All right.
Suska, sorry, it's really interesting you mentioned that, you know, just say it. And then again, if you don't want to be judged, welcome to STB Alia. That's a space for you to talk and use your English, okay?
Perfect.
You will not be judged, trust me.
Yes, so you can choose English major and everybody else would be also using English. So you're in the right environment as well. Thank you, Zaki. All right. Joshua has a question for Gilang in particular. So he would like to know if it's hard to adapt in a new culture and if Australia is a welcoming country.
Okay, so yeah, I will answer the second question first. Is Australia a very welcoming country? Yes, because in Australia there are a lot of people coming from different countries, different religion, different culture. So they are very welcoming. I've never, I live in Australia for about, I did my master's for 2 years and I extended for another year. So I lived in Australia for 3 years in Perth in Western Australia. I've never experienced welcome. So welcome. What's that? Yeah, I've never experienced bad experience. All just like the good things. Everyone is very supportive. Everyone is really nice. Even when I worked, I worked for a school at the time when I did my master's, and then on the third year I couldn't work because I only had tourist visa for my extension. Anyway, during my work, people are just like very helpful, very nice. We greet each other in the morning. We just have, there is something that we always talk every day. So yeah, it is very welcoming country. Even not only Australia, even Canada, when I went to Canada, they are also welcoming. When we pass through each other, we just say, hi, how are you going? You're saying hi. It's Canada. And then the first question is it difficult to, to understand the culture? Yeah. Wait.
Mm-hmm. Yes, to understand, to adapt to the culture.
Oh yeah, to adapt to different the reaction was with a certain level first. Yeah, be open-minded and then try to be flexible, try to be adaptable, to adapt. Listen, look what they did. Okay, take the good thing, leave the bad things. Avoid from
Gilang, sorry, what's the bad thing?
Well, I mean, like the bad thing is like, for example, the unwelcome or different culture. I mean, like, I'm really sure that when you're abroad, you got a culture shock, right? Yeah, the first time I arrived in Perth, I got my first culture shock, which is Perth is so quiet. But we live in the city where it is actually very crowded. I was just like, Perth, what am I going to do here? So yeah, like it's very quiet. 5 o'clock, all the shops are closed. How can you live with that? Well, in the middle of the night in Jakarta, in Yogyakarta, you can just go to some warmindo to buy some food. But in Australia, you can't do that. So that's like the first culture shock that I got. But it depends on you. So if you have, just be positive, be flexible, be open-minded, and just get what I was trying to say. So yeah, so that's the main thing.
Thank you so much, Gilang. Maybe Zaki also have some inputs on the question since he's still living in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, the first time I was in Sydney 2014, it was hard, I can tell you. Especially if you're a solo traveler, you know. You don't have anyone to kind of like assist you or giving you any direction apart from the only one friend that I know back then. So yeah, it's a bit hard. And as you said, as Gilang mentioned earlier about Australian accents and language, you know, in STB area, we often hear a lot of American accent. Yeah, all of our textbook, all of our resources were from American-based texts. So when I get to Australia, oh my God, I feel like I thought I'm already, you know, competent in my language, but then it's just for me to kind of like get my ears used to with the Australian pronunciation. It took me about maybe 6 months, and until to get my ears, you know, used to listening to that. Well, I must say it's difficult. You just have to find a good few friends that will support you to get you settled in, you know, because other than that, it can be, I can imagine it can be quite a frustrating moment. And I thank for some friends that I had at the beginning, that kind of like, you know, helping me translating, oh, what does that actually mean, you know, and doing all that. So yeah, it can be hard, but at the same time, you look back and then, it was very interesting, and you kind of like you feel that you are blessed because of that experience. Then you learn from it. You become more proficient person with your language, with your culture adaptation. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know from a personal experience, it can be challenging to adjust in a new environment, but yes, you're persistent, you'll find friends, you learn the language, and things just get smoother over time. All right, so Stephen would like to ask a question to all the speakers, and he would like to know if you ever thought that English cannot bring any benefits, because as we know, to get a good job, you should be smart in math or biology or like more subjects than only English language. So maybe Garen would like to share first.
Yeah, well, I mean, have I ever thought about that? I never consider English as a failure. So yeah, I mean, no, instead, English bring me the opportunity to work in a hospitality industry where I have to communicate with the people who speak English, with the foreigners, replying the emails as well using English. So yeah, I mean, what about the people who good in math but they're not good in English? What about that? Have you ever thought about that as well? I mean, I'm saying your success doesn't define by just one skill. So yeah, that's all from me.
All right, thank you so much. Something to...
Oh yeah, sure. Well, actually, this is very interesting questions, but yeah, I think English is yeah should be not being one of the skills. Of course, if we want to be success, we want to be, we should be also have other lot of yeah, other many things that we are passionate about. So language is a means to deliver that. It's a means to make our lives easy when we want to you know, want to expand our network, our career in international level and everything. But yeah, I think we should also master any other skills. For example, if we are speaking about like Zach, you know, he is really passionate about education, so he knows, you know, this kind of master, and then he used English for that. And I am really into development work because of my background, so I am really interested and really passionate about, you know, human rights, child rights, gender equality, something like that. So that's you know, it interested, and I need English to make it, you know, spread out to also network with others and to give more impact, not only for Indonesian. Yeah, I think we should have some of course your passions and other considerations as well.
Thank you so much, Sheriff, for sharing. Gentlemen, Saki, Gilang, would you like to add something to the question? Whether you...
Sorry, what was the question is again?
The question was if you ever thought that English cannot bring you enough benefits, like you should know maybe more biology or math or other skills rather than only English.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. I mean, what you're saying is true, that although English is very important, but you need to have something else on top of that. Yeah. Again, Sarah mentions about finding your passion. What is it apart from English that you're very good at? Yeah. Maybe you have interest in become an architect, you know. So I guess, yeah, you need to, yeah, basically you just need to find some other skills as an additional to English, yeah. But if you already have your English, it's a really good start, because again, you know, sometimes let's say we study law, for example, yeah. They study law for 4 years, and then you sometimes see that not many law graduates ended up become a lawyer, okay? And this is the same with you are studying in IPB, pertanian. Oops, maybe I should not mention that. But anyway, you study in some sort of study or whatever, and then you ended up working as something else. Yeah. Right. So what's the difference with that? So if you got English as your first base, then you definitely are, you know, eligible in all sorts of work that you are applying for. And guess what? Sometimes, although you graduate from a particular degree or major, you still have to do the training, don't you? So then what's the point of, studying a particular degree? With English, you get a big tick, and then you further get training to the company that you're interested in, and then that will be on top of your other skill, than being able to speak English, okay? I guess studying English gives you that versatility, okay? Let's say 4 years of studying in Serbia, learning English, and then down the track you're interested in journalism. You can just self-taught. Obviously, there are lots of open courses these days with online learning. It's just everywhere, massive, as Gilan mentioned earlier. But if you are, let's say, if you are studying an accountant, yeah, and then most of, let's say you're studying an accounting, and then want to become an accountant, but then you do not have that English skills, it will only get you, let's say, this far, yeah? But if you have your English fluency happening, and then you are able to, communicate and connect with people from a different country, that accounting skills, yeah, you can, self-taught, and then you can take short course for, I don't know how many months, and then you will have, and enough skills to kind of like put you into job market. I don't know if that's the case, but that's my parameter, as I can see many of my friends who study a particular degree, they ended up not working, aligned with their degree anyway. So yeah, that's what I can say.
Thank you so much. I think there's a lot of valuable inputs.
Yeah, and also probably I'm just gonna add a little bit on that, because I agree with all the speakers here that English is not the only skill that you need to learn. If you are mastering in biology, if you are really mastering in math, you can pursue that dream, yeah. But what I'm trying to say is English can be your foundation before you achieve to the higher level. For example, I might share screen for one more time just to get what it is. You're mentioning about biology, okay? So you've got the skills, you are really mastering biology, and you are probably in your work, you are studying about genomics, lexicon. There won't be enough resources in Indonesia for you in Indonesian language, yeah, to for example, that you have a certain case about the population genomic lexicon, rather than you need to find it somewhere else in international sources. And then here, English can be your foundation to know what is actually a population genomic lexicon. That we're talking about biology. We're talking about math, the same thing. English is also a foundation for me to work as the development practitioner in tourism sector. If I've got, for example, like my startup have got the partnership with the tourism board of Yogyakarta, and also with the tourism board of the Kulon Progo region here. We are trying to build a project, to do a tourism project. For example, like there's a certain case, certain issues that Yogyakarta tourism, that we need actually the project to solve that kind of issue. where is like the sources that I can find? I can find the sources somewhere else outside this. The link that I gave you, this is the link that I gave you here from Springer. For example, like, oh, okay, Yogyakarta needs to move on and need to create more sustainable tourism project here in Yogyakarta. To know that, to get that knowledge, I need to find it somewhere else, not only in Indonesia, not only in Indonesian language, because in the sources out there are a lot of things that might be really related to the project that you are doing, that you are going to do. So you're right, English is not the only skill, but to achieve more, to support your work, English can be a foundation for you.
I'm so sorry, I was mute. I did not realize that. Very key point, and that from that point you can learn other skills that are going to support any career that you are going to pick in the future. Okay, we are slowly running out of time. We still have 2 more left, so perhaps we can take each question for 2 of our speakers. So Zinzi would like to know if it's necessary to have a master's degree in order to increase the opportunities of a better career. So any of our speakers would like to start?
Maybe we'll choose Saneri, because I think Saneri will have, you know, relevant answer to that question.
All right. Okay. Shere, would you like to share? What do you think? Is master's degree necessary to increase your opportunities for a career?
Hello. Sorry. Thank you for the questions. Thank you, Zach. Yeah. Maybe here I am one of the first. Yeah, among the speakers, I am the one who haven't yet pursued my aim. It's not because I think it's not important, but maybe it's just not the time yet, because I have my own timeline in my life, and of course, I think for me to survive in a real world, I think we cannot just depend on the what we call qualifications, but the degree. Yeah, I think it's not merely depend on the degree. I think we should have the most important one is that we should have the courage, the confidence, the belief in ourselves that we can be successful. We should you know, show that we are competent enough, because from my own experience, usually in my organization, many of my colleagues they are of course master graduates, and most of them graduates from you know, university outside Indonesia, and but you know, it is very important that you don't feel like you don't feel discouraged, you don't feel like you are you know down for that, but I think it should be the other way around, that you should be very confident. You should learn from them, from your colleagues that are already have that exposure, and then you have to believe in yourself. Because for my experience, in Plan International, for example, if you want to get promotions, usually, you know, the promotions opportunities, they are available for the internal staff, and they are not like I don't know if in other organizations, but at least I can speak from my organization in Plan International. There are no like specific requirement. It should be from master graduates and everything, but you should demonstrate yourself that you are capable, that you have the same competence. You have the same competence with the work that they are expecting to deliver. So from me, I even when I haven't graduated yet from STB Alia, I've already become a full employee in Plan International. And then I started 6 years ago I started in a very entry level, which is an officer. I was started in officer, but then in every single 1 year, every 2 years, I always applied. I always applied for the higher promotions in my in my organization. That's why now I'm become a specialist. I used to be a project manager. I used to be an advisor, and different positions, of course, with different exposure and different expectations. But I don't feel that I never felt that I am not I am not that I never felt that this is not for me to have, otherwise we never know. So yeah, maybe I think yeah, the final say is that yeah, you can go to master. It's really good if you have the opportunity, if you have the money, or if you got a scholarship and everything. I think it's really good to. I do really believe that education will bring you to the top of the world. So if you can have the master or even higher than that, so that's really good. But if you're not, I think you should be also feel down and discourage yourself.
Thank you so much, Sherif, for sharing. Maybe one other speaker would still like to share, maybe from a perspective of someone who already has the master degree.
I could say on that behalf, I mean, I'm not CV. I finished my second master degree. You know, how many master degree is enough for you, Zaki? Because the question at the end of the day is that, do you have the the knowledge that requires for your job? Yeah, you can have multiple PhD, you can have multiple master degree, because sometimes it depends on what sort of career change that you want to do in your life. Yeah, you might start, you might begin your career as a let's say a secretary, and then let the track, oh, I think I want to change my career to become an educator. So those different field of job will require a different field of knowledge. Yeah, sometimes you have your MBA, and then if you change your career to something else, then you have to take another study. Okay, which that what I was doing. Yeah, so the thing is, I also kind of like, you have to remember that there are some nature of jobs that require a certain knowledge and qualification, and some other type of job that does not require a qualifications at all. It requires experiences, yeah, from your from your previous job. So I guess it all depends. If you want to be a lecturer in a university, of course you have to take a master degree, because how can you teach an S1 graduate if you S1 graduate? Does that make sense? Yeah, so you have to have a higher qualification than your student, that's for sure. But if you're working in, let's say, hospitality industry like Garen, I don't think that you have to have a higher qualification, because it does not relevant. Yeah, they need your expertise. What can you do in the field? Are you really good at handling customer? Are you really good at let's say improving the quality of the service? Is that taught in university? Well, I guess it depends. If you're going to a tourism or hospitality university degree, let's say, irrelevant. So I guess it all depends on the nature of the job. Yeah, before you making a wrong steps on choosing a university, again, yeah, what do you aspire to be? And then after that, look, what is it, the relevant skills that you need? If the job says you don't really have to have qualification or master degree, then maybe you don't need to.
Thank you so much for sharing both perspectives. Yeah, I absolutely agree. It very much depends on the nature of your job, and also in terms of time, you can do it sooner or later. I took my master's right after the studies, but in Europe, this is very common. So almost everybody takes their master degree right after the bachelor's, but it's not a common practice everywhere. So the decision is purely in terms of enriching your career prospects. All right, thank you so much for sharing. We have one last question. So I would like, the question is from Amien. He's asking how to establish the academic writing skills for those who are decent in English but are not good enough on delivering it into a paperwork. Maybe we can have one speaker answering this question since we are very short on time. So who would like to help out Amien with tips on how to establish academic writing skills?
Yeah, for academic, probably I could share a bit, yeah. Sorry, Garen. Anyway, so for writing the, to establish academic writing skills for a person who is very decent, who master your English, but you cannot get the things on your mind into a paperwork, is to practice to write. And then, because like you've got English, and then what you need to do is you have to learn the writing, the proper writing technique. When I was in undergraduate, when I did my undergrad at STBLE, I think I took writing 1, 2, 3. If I'm not mistaken, there are like steps. Yeah, writing 1, writing 2, writing 3. We were taught how to write properly on the academic, for academic writing. In academic writing, mostly you are trying to find a solution for a problem. So the first step that what I'm going to give, the tips that I'm going to give you is, first, find the problem first. The idea is, okay, I need to find the solution for the problem. You don't have to write all the things first. What you need to do is you have to do brainstorming first. So you have to brainstorm. Brainstorm is like mind mapping. Put the, yeah, you know, like the one specific topic, and then you circle it, and then you put the arrows here, up there, down here. What is actually the problem? So that's your main focus for that. And then after that, with the brainstorming, what is actually the solution that you give? You give the first solution, put the arrow. Okay, first solution is this. Second arrow, second solution is this. And then after that, you need to find the resources that support your statement, support your solution. So it's kind of like that you need to learn the writing technique properly. And well, thank you STBLE, and because we've got the skills for that, because we were taught reading 1, 2, 3, writing 1, 2, 3, speaking 1, 2, 3. Even for structure, we have structure 1, structure 2, structure 3. And yeah, so find the problem, find the solution, suggest the solution, put it in a brainstorming technique. After that, you have to elaborate in sentences. So that's my tips. If you are not confident enough, don't worry, you're not alone. I was there. You need to practice writing, because last time, the longest writing that I make, I need to write for a research on literacy skills in Jayawijaya. So I wrote like 15,000 words. Imagine, Indonesian, you wrote 15,000 words all in English. How could I achieve that? Just starting from scratch, brainstorming. So yeah, that's a tip from me. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much for all the useful tips, and thank you for breathless our participants had. I really appreciate it. So a huge thank you for all our speakers. Thank you, Geren, Shere, Zaki, and you could read also in the comments, it was enlightening for the participants. They really got real life experience from, which is really, really amazing. And we very much appreciate your time. One more time, a huge thank you committee from Elbe and Estebalia for taking the time to participate in our webinar. So thank you so much, guys. And now is the time to of our questions. All right. So as you still remember, at the very beginning, I have asked you two questions. The first question was about official language or secondary official language in the in the countries in the world, the number of the answer for this question is 4. So guess answered the question correctly. So for, I'm sorry. So for answer number 1, we have Hanifa. Congratulations, Hanifa. You were the closest to the correct answer. So later you are going to be approached by the committee and you will coordinate the details to receive your prize. For the second question that I have asked you at the beginning was how many people in the world are non-native English speakers? So there is actually an interval between 600 to 700 million people. And 3 people answered the closest to the interval. However, the first person with the closest answer was Stephen. So congratulations, Stephen. You are the closest and the fastest to the answer. So the second prize will go to Stephen. And we also mentioned that 3 most interesting questions will be rewarded. So the committee has voted and the 3 most interesting questions will go to Nuzul, the first question. Thank you very much. Stephen again. So Stephen is going to get 2 prizes. Congratulations. And the third person is Amin. I think you challenged the speakers with the question about academic writing. So that is also very appreciated. So congratulations. Later, the committee is going to approach you via WhatsApp and you are going to coordinate your receiving of the prizes. Thank you so much for webinar. And as we already read from the and also seen here, you got a lot of ideas, a lot of experience sharing, a lot of inspiration. So we hope that we really inspired you through this webinar and that you got some information that you were hoping to get from us. So thank you so much for participating. And I will give the word back to Mr. Novito.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Zuzka. You've been a wonderful moderator for the last 2 hours. Thank you so much for that. I would also like to give the biggest appreciation to all our panelists, speakers today. Ms. Tanri, thank you for putting your time here today. Mr. Gilang Fauzi from Yogyakarta, also thank you for your time. Mr. Zaki, thank you from all the way from Melbourne. And one more, Mr. Garen, thank you also for your time and your all your experience, no doubt, has been such an inspiration to everybody here. I've been looking at the chats below, and they have been really inspired by everything that you've went through and every action that you've taken. Okay, so thank you again for everybody here, the panelists, the moderator, and also everybody who is still here on the chat. One more little bonus that I'd like to give you, because we are offering to you just for today. We have basically an offer for you if you are interested in joining LIA just for today. So during this webinar only, you get 2 bonuses if you will fill out the registration today. There's a 300,000 rupiah discount for a TOEFL preparation class or a conversation class or even a general English class. If you're very interested, you can just click there in the link. We will share the link in the chat. And also, there is also a 200,000 rupiah discount for registration of fee to STB Alia for new English major students. So you can also click the link description in the box. But this is only for today. So if you just fill out the registration today, you can finalize the payment probably latest on Monday next week. But just register today if you find any interest in learning a new language, in this case English. Either it's in daily conversations or maybe you'd like to have a better TOEFL score so that you can go to universities or you can get that scholarship you've always wanted, or you can probably travel abroad just like some of our speakers today, and study or work over there. Or maybe you'd like to take it seriously to the next level, and maybe Sekolah Tinggi Bahasa Asing STB Alia and study English as your main major. Okay, so with that, probably we will just share some of the links below. And let me just also say that I will try to put up the recording for today's session up on our YouTube channel. Hopefully, I don't find any technical difficulties by doing that. And so if you missed anything that you'd like to sort of listen to again, I invite you to find it. We will also blast the YouTube link later on through the webinar group that we've also made. Here in the chat, we can also see the links that you can link to if you'd like to register to Albelia today, or maybe register to STB Alia today. Those links are in the chat box right now. Ms. Duska, you also mentioned that maybe we can also put up some of the links from our speakers. Do our speakers have a link that they can share here in the chat? Maybe so that our listeners, our participants can either contact them in some way.
Yes, our speakers are glad to share their Instagram details with the participants. So if the participants want to contact them in the future, they can contact them directly. We are also in the chat. So if they have questions that might not have been answered, they will still have the opportunity to talk to the speakers after the webinar.
Oh, great. Okay, so we're putting it in the chat box right now, or how? Or maybe we want to zoom it, we want to blast it in the WhatsApp?
Oh, we can do that too.
We can do that too. Okay. So I guess that will be, I guess, the end of Alumni Talks presented to you by STB Alia Jakarta and also Lembaga Bahasa Lia. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. We hope to see you again in the next opportunity, maybe another Alumni Talk, and just to inspire you that education doesn't stop anytime soon. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today. We bid you farewell and wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, and thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.